Hello, BookTube. I come to you on a bright, sunny Saturday, nice and warm, approaching 65 degrees Fahrenheit. All of the weather models say that it's going to be either snowing or sleeting or raining tomorrow with a gigantic drop in temperature, but today, shirt sleeves weather. The type of thing where there's no wind, there's no ice, there's no cold, there's nothing to stop me and Bean from just strolling to our heart's content when we're outside. We were on our walk first thing this morning and we encountered a dog we'd never met before, just out of puppyhood, so still gangly, all elbows, big paddle feet, and when he saw us, he just galump walked up to us, pulling his owner, and saying with every inch of his body and his face and his tongue and his ears, "You want to play? Want to play?" And Frida's response to such dogs is to pull back, raise up her head with an expression that says, "How dare you?" And he caught on to that. Dogs always do. They catch on to that. They go, "Whoa, what's going on?" Most of them are, the younger ones are confused. They say, "I don't understand. I'm getting enormous amounts of encouragement to play. So how could you be responding this way?" And then they realize, "Oh wait, it's me. I'm the one who's giving you the encouragement to play, not her, not your own species." But it went well. We managed to make it work. And mail came. Yet more mail. I very unwisely took matters into my own hands last night and rearranged my bookcases. Swapped out the bookcase that I had. It was full of books, but the top two shelves were new releases, were the advanced copies and review copies and whatnot. And it quickly became apparent to me, I had books piled everywhere on the floor that were review copies. It became apparent to me over the last week that the traffic in such copies is inching up. I don't know if that's a permanent thing. I have no idea. But after a while, I realized, this isn't going to get any better. These numbers aren't going down. So what you need to do, you need a bigger bookcase. You need something with better shelves, something like approaching your old approach to these things. Which required taking all the books off of the shelf that was over there, cleaning the bookcase that's empty, then going to the other room, pulling all the books off the target bookcase that I want to swap out, cleaning the shelves there, then actually moving the two bookcases, swapping their places room to room, and then putting all the books back on the shelves. And I thought to myself, well, each individual element of that project doesn't sound very strenuous. And I'm lucky I'm here to talk to you. I quickly realized when I was halfway done, exactly what I have been told not to do. Repeatedly. Anyway, it's done now, and I survived. And the new bookcase is the one thing I didn't do, because I was pushing it. I didn't want to push it anymore. So the one thing I didn't do is organize the books that are on the new work bookcase. I didn't organize it to fill it out, flesh it out, make sure that it's nice and neat and that everything's where it belongs. I will do that. I won't do that anytime soon. Maybe tomorrow. If it's snowing tomorrow, if it's a stay-in kind of day, maybe then. But anyway, we've got a pile more mail here, so we'll go through this. We don't have any boxes, but we've quite a few, just a little pile of envelopes here, with more to come. I know that there's more. Hi, baby. How you doing? I know that there's more mail coming today. I just don't know when. So let's see. Let's see what this first one is. Okay, this is by Wanda Coleman, and it's called Heart First Into This Ruin, The Complete American Sonnets, which again has a date on it for Indie Next List, March 28th. So I guess this is from Black Sparrow Press. I guess there's some sort of well-known indie press thing that you're supposed to nominate things for. I haven't been contacted about that in any way. The actual pub date on the book is the middle of June, and I don't have any sheet on it at all. The publication of Wanda Coleman's Wicked Enchantment, edited and introduced by the brilliant Terence Hayes, sparked a much-deserved Wanda renaissance of sorts. Passed me by. The collection landed on the Best Poetry of 2020 lists at the New York Times, Washington Post, and Irish Times. And Penguin published Wicked Enchantment in England, marking Wanda's UK debut. Now comes Heart First Into This Ruin, the first complete collection of Wanda's American sonnets. Ever original and inventive, Wanda said of her sonnets, okay, all right, no. I wanted to have my form and explode it too. I decided to have fun, to blow my soul. Okay, so her quote is, I wanted to have my form and explode it too. I decided to have fun, to blow my soul. So I've got a real good sense that I could pick any sonnet of these sonnets at random, and it A, wouldn't be a sonnet, and B, wouldn't be any good. I almost don't want to. I don't want to confirm that. We're not far enough away from Poetry Thursday. If you were part of the Wanda Coleman Renaissance, if it didn't pass you by and you know who this is, well then you know that in mid-June you've got another book coming out from that author. So our first book was indeed a slim volume of poetry. Let's move on. This next one is not any bigger. None of these things are really big, and there's no boxes. So we're going to be dealing with slim things. What is this next one? Okay, we've seen this already. I think this is a double. Or maybe this is the finished copy. This is coming out as a $16 paperback in the first week of March. So maybe that's what this is. It's not coming out as a hardcover. This is Refuse to be Done, How to Write and Rewrite a Novel in 3 Drafts by Matt Bell. Refuse to be Done is intensely practical, focusing always on specific tasks, techniques, and activities for writing a novel, from the first draft all the way through final revisions. Divided into 3 main sections, each containing numerous subheadings and detailed items, the book is easy to use at any and every stage of the writing process, whether one is starting from scratch or already has a full draft to revise. Concrete examples from published fiction and media, as well as Matt Bell's personal experience, bring further meaning to the tips included, showing how they were developed and how they come to fruition in existing works. In the first section, Bell shares a bounty of tactics to get through perhaps the most daunting stage of novel writing, actually writing the book. Okay. Intended to push writers through the initial conception and get words on the page, this section includes strategies for process, such as how to regiment one's writing and track process, the writing itself, that is, how to develop characters and determine which scenes to write next, and overcoming writer's block. Next, with a complete draft in hand, the second section focuses on reworking the narrative through outlining, modeling, and rewriting. This includes such tasks as fleshing out characters, scrutinizing the plot, and reshaping a manuscript into a more polished form. And the final stage captures Bell's philosophy of, quote, refuse to be done, encouraging writers to stay in their novel for as long as they're able by working through a checklist of revisions. In this layered approach, writers fully work through the text multiple times, focusing on a specific achievable task through each pass. Whether it's revising the prose or scrutinizing the structure of each scene, every pass brings the manuscript closer to accomplishing the writer's ambitions and becoming the greatest it can possibly be. And who is Matt Bell? He wrote Appleseed, which I've read, and In the House Upon the Dirt, Between the Lake and the Woods, which I think I read as well. And his stories have appeared in Best American Mystery Stories, Esquire, Tin House, Conjunctions, Fairy Tale Review, Gulf Coast, and many other publications. And he teaches creative writing at Arizona State University, which has a very good program. Okay, so I'm being tempted in all these books to peek inside, but I imagine his individual tips are not very long, but they're too long to read in a video. Okay, it could be very useful. My problem with these, for you, my problem with this type of book. Did I tell you when this comes out? This comes out in the first week of March. My problem with this type of book is that they tend to. Way too many writers are thinking about their finished product, or maybe even their National Book Critic Award acceptance speech, when you shouldn't be thinking about anything like that at all. In a perfect world, the first section of this book would be the only section. It's the doing that teaches. That's all. That's all. Books like this ultimately don't. Books like this ultimately teach you how to procrastinate. And I know so many people who have completely lost sight of the fact that they are procrastinating with their writing because they believe they're working on it. They're constantly revising. They're constantly going to free seminars at the library or webinars online. Every book like this can be boiled down to read and then write. Read a lot and then write a lot. Writing a lot will teach you all that you're going to learn in here. Unless maybe the third part, revising, the fine prints of revising might be useful to some of you, but that's putting the cart way, way before the horse. Most of you don't get that far because you don't get past stage one, which is generate material. That is the first and most important rule of writing, is that you have to write without really thinking about your future Nobel Awards ceremony. You should be just getting it all out. Just get it all out and deal with it later. Way too many writers that I know just cannot seem to do that. They infinitely fuss over, well, but refuse to be done. If you have a huge shelf full of writing books, number one, I would say that means you don't write enough. But number two is this is going to be coming out in a month. Let's see. These are all going to be small. I think they're all going to be short, unfortunately. I just hope for something that doesn't cause a screed. What is this? Oh, fantastic. Okay. All right. Okay, this is Helen Rappaport's new book. This is after the Romanovs, Russian exiles in Paris from the Belle Epoque through the Revolution and War. After the Romanovs, by the great Helen Rappaport. Fantastic. So this comes out, this is a March book, yes? Yes, this comes out in the first week of March. And I don't think it has any kind of paperwork. No, it does not. Let's see here. Paris has always been a city of cultural excellence, fine wine and food and the latest fashions. It has also been a place for refuge for those fleeing persecution, never more so than before and after the Russian Revolution and the fall of the Romanov dynasty. For years, Russian aristocrats had enjoyed all Belle Epoque Paris had to offer, spending lavishly when they visited. It was a place of artistic experimentation, such as Diaghilev's Ballet Russes, and the brutality of the Bolshevik takeover forced Russians of all types to flee their homeland, sometimes leaving with only the clothes on their back. Arriving in Paris, former princes could be seen driving taxicabs, while their wives, who could sew, worked from the fashion houses for unique Russian style, serving as inspiration for designers like Coco Chanel. Talented intellectuals, artists, poets, philosophers, and writers struggled in exile, eking out a living at menial jobs. Some, like Bunin, Chagall, and Stravinsky, encountered great success in the same Paris that welcomed Americans such as Fitzgerald and Hemingway. Okay, well, this author, let me tell you about her. She's a New York Times bestselling author of several books, including Magnificent Obsession, The Romanov Sisters, and Caught in the Revolution, which was great. She studied Russian special studies at Leeds University and is a fellow of the Royal Historical Society, and a heck of a writer. So this is coming out in March after the Romanovs. You can follow Russian emigres into Paris. Fantastic. Then we have, what have we got here? Oh my. All right, this next envelope is overprotected. Usually means it's coming from one of you, but this seems to be coming from a publisher. You barely need to do any of this to get a package from point A to point B in America. You barely do. Here. Did I destroy it while I was opening it? No, not quite. Let's see what we have here. Oh, okay. Well, this isn't, I was going to say this is the reason why it was overpackaged. It's not. It's not. A little envelope with a little tape on it would have been fine. But the reason why the person thought to do this is because this is bound galley. This isn't even an ARC. This is just somebody binding the pages of a book that's forthcoming. Am I going to have anything? May. This comes out in May. It's going to be a $28 hardcover, and it is Feeding Washington's Army, Surviving the Valley Forge Winter of 1778 by Ricardo Herrera. That's what it's going to look like. That is actually the cover copy, but I don't have anything else to show you because this is just an advanced copy still with the printing marks on the pages. So I don't know. Oh, wait, there is a description here. Okay. In this major new history of the Continental Army's Grand Forage of 1778, award-winning military historian Ricardo Herrera uncovers what daily life was like for soldiers during the darkest and coldest days of the American Revolution, the Valley Forge Winter, which would be familiar to a lot of you from Ketchum's book, Winter Soldiers, which is absolutely fantastic. Here, the Army launched its largest and riskiest operation, not a bloody battle against British forces, but a campaign to feed itself and prevent starvation and dispersal during the long encampment. The author brings to light the Army's Herculean efforts to feed itself, support local and continental governments, and challenge the British Army. Highlighting the missteps and triumphs of both General George Washington and his officers, as well as ordinary soldiers, sailors, and militiamen, Feeding Washington's Army moves far beyond oft-told heroic and mythical tales of Valley Forge and digs deeply into its daily reality, revealing how close the Continental Army came to succumbing to starvation and how strong and resourceful its soldiers and leaders actually were. And the author is a professor of military history at the School of Advanced Military Studies at the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College. Odd that that description makes no mention of disease. You'd think, since this book was certainly written during COVID, that there would be a mention of disease instead of just starvation. Odd, but interesting. Okay, so I wonder when it says moving far beyond oft-told heroic and mythical tales of Valley Forge, I wonder if he's aiming at Ketchum. And that'd be a little awkward. I wonder. Let's take a look and see. Let's see if Winter Soldiers is even mentioned in here in the bibliography. The bibliography is in this book. I don't see how you could write a book like this and not mention it. Let's see. Okay, well, there's a lot, but published secondary sources does not appear to mention Winter Soldiers. How could that be? Wow. Okay, well, there sure is a lot of stuff here. Maybe at some point in the book, the author mentions his obvious predecessor. I don't see any hint of it in any of the bibliography. Wow. Okay. Well, there might be a reason for that. The author might go out of his way to mention that. So we've got Feeding Washington's Army. It doesn't come out until May. And then we'll finish up with this big cardboard thing. Could be a finished copy. Couldn't it be? Couldn't it be? Let's see here. I can clean up all this later. Okay, good. It is a finished copy. Let's see here. This comes out when, your front is entirely blurred. So this comes out in early March. A lot of these things are early March. This is by Augie Ogas and Sai Gadam, and it's called Journey of the Mind, How Thinking Emerged from Chaos. Very nice cover there. What have we got here? Self-awareness has long been regarded as the supreme locked-room mystery in science, a puzzle so enigmatic that scientists have traditionally divided the seemingly magical forms of human consciousness, i.e., what are my thoughts made of, from more mundane forms of thought. Is that a circle or a square? This division has become so entrenched that mainstream science anoints the magical forms of thinking as the hard stuff and dismisses all other forms of thinking as the easy stuff. Okay, why do I think that's the first of many straw men we're going to encounter in this description? For centuries, scientists believed that the easy stuff, like a child wiggling her toes, a nightingale singing a melody, or a fruit fly pursuing the scent of overripe bananas, could be explained using run-of-the-mill engineering principles. The hard stuff, in contrast, was believed to require an extraordinary explanation, perhaps involving forces or energies outside the laws of physics. In this book, the two authors are neuroscientists. Augie and Sai are neuroscientists. They show that this division between the magical and the mundane is artificial, that we can make sense of consciousness, language, and self-awareness using the same principles that explain how an amoeba decides to join an amoeba colony. And amoebas do make decisions, and they have at least a rudimentary form of self-preservation. They have preferences. To make their case, the authors retrace the 3 billion-year journey of the mind from the aimless cycling of mud on a dark and barren earth to the most sophisticated mind ever to grace our solar system. What that would be. I wonder what species the authors are. This epic voyage commences with the organism with the simplest living mind on Earth, the archaeon, which has, quote, a mind so minuscule that you would be forgiven for questioning whether it's a mind at all. From there, the authors sojourn with a series of increasingly brawny intellects: bacteria minds, amoeba minds, worm minds, insect minds, fish minds, frog minds, tortoise minds, rat minds, bird minds, primate minds, and finally, human superminds. The ladder of existence, straight out of a Victorian era textbook. You wouldn't have to change a single one of those things for the ladder of existence. Each chapter highlights a new mental challenge that a particular mind faced before revealing the innovation that surmounted it and spurred the mind to become smarter still. And how do we know that the mind is becoming smarter still in that wonderfully ordered progression of species from lowest to highest? Because it gets more like us. Because it gets more like the way humans think. That's how we know. It's simple. It's really simple. If a tortoise has a problem with its mind, the way you'll know whether or not it surmounts that problem is if it gets a little more human. This gauntlet begins with one of the most perplexing challenges of all. How did a mind emerge from mindlessness? And because I have never read a book on the subject of how a mind emerged from mindlessness, most certainly including Sam Harris. I have never read a book on that subject that was not religious. Never. Because the one thing, the one answer that is almost certainly the case, that is totally unacceptable to the religious is by accident. That's totally unacceptable. There has to be some sort of guiding etiology. It has to be aimed at something. And if you can't aim an arrow without an archer. I've never read a book on the subject of mind from mindfulness that wasn't religious. Maybe this will be the first. You will see how bacteria make situational decisions without the benefit of a single neuron, let alone a brain. You will discover why the housefly's surprisingly intelligent mind divides minds that are unquestionably non-conscious from those indisputably conscious. Didn't we just mention that amoebas make decisions without the benefit of even a neuron? Are you going to call them non-conscious? You will come to appreciate how monkeys rely upon hope, rage, and awe to chart a course through life. By progressing through the sequence of innovations that led to sentience, step by step, this book offers an incremental account of why and how consciousness appeared in the universe. You will learn how consciousness works and see new strains of consciousness in places you never expected. You will learn, too, how language was constructed atop the architecture of consciousness and why a hairy, hooting biped with a fondness for rocks became the first beast to compose poetry, rather than a soft-feathered flyer with a melodious song. That's not poetry. Do birds make different songs? Do they sometimes make songs for reasons that we don't understand? Is it possible that's poetry? And do you even know? Are you even in any position to guess whether or not bees have poetry? Are you in any position to even guess that? No, you are not. Are they complex enough to have it? Absolutely they are. So are ant colonies. Only it wouldn't be human poetry. A hairy, hooting biped. Oh yeah, you certainly think of yourself that way. I'm sure you do. I sense the humility just coming off you. This 3 billion year pilgrimage reveals a startling discovery. A hidden connectedness between all minds, including a remarkable mathematical link between the hard stuff and the easy stuff. A connectedness between all minds. All minds. So your mind is connected somehow with an adolescent humpback whale in the North Atlantic right now. Didn't I mention a few minutes ago, these books are all religious. They're all religious. But anyway, by exploring this hidden connection, first you have to establish it, Seymour, and Seymour. You can't explore it until you establish it. Okay? And establishing it means more than you stating it. It means you proving it. Can you demonstrate a connection between my mind and the mind of a 40-year-old orangutan in a jungle whose habitat is being threatened right at this minute with a bulldozer? That mind is extremely agitated. It's extremely despairing and frightened and angry. And I'm not any of those things, unless maybe I'm a little angry at you. But anyway, by exploring this hidden connection, the authors offer new answers to very old questions. Why do we exist? Why do we exist is a religious question. It is a religious question. Where are we all headed? Well, maybe heaven. Yeah. Why do we exist and where are we headed are religious questions. They make no sense otherwise. They are religious questions. So I don't know why that's hard to get in the 21st century, where at least some of the statistics that I read say that humanity has never been less religious. I don't know why it's not hard to why it's so hard to see that, unless maybe it's that the authors, like perhaps many of you, are not spending enough time with non-humans. It is so healthy to spend time with non-humans. Is there a hidden relationship between chaos and purpose? Yeah, there is, right? It's the goblin you worship. It's Buddha. That's got to be the hidden relationship. Hidden relationships, that just sounds so mystical, man. And you could either read this book or you could charter a jet to Kathmandu. But it sounds like a goblin. Is there a cosmic role for love in the universe? Well, love is the universe, right? We're all made of love. Right? Yeah, because is there a cosmic role for love in the universe? Because love is such an integral part of a dark matter nebula, or the great red dot, the gigantic storm that has been raging for centuries in the clouds of Jupiter. Love is such an integral part of that. It's not a name that's given to a complex of emotions by one species on this planet, on one planet in the entire universe. No, it's more than that. Is there a cosmic role for love in the universe? For decency? What's a cosmic role? What does it mean for something to have a cosmic role? You mean a divine role, is what you mean. When you say that, you mean a divine role. Is there a divine role for decency? Is it perhaps mandated by something divine, by a goblin that you worship? By eliminating the false barrier between the mind's hard stuff and the easy stuff. You're the one who made the barrier. I didn't make it. All of it's easy stuff. It's all what brains do. By eliminating the barrier between the mind's hard stuff and easy stuff, this book suggests that humans are not the final destination of the journey. Could have fooled me. Maybe the book is different from the pub sheet. Nor the ultimate culmination of purpose in the cosmos. Instead, we are part of a never-ending dance of chaos and mind. Amen. Let's see here. Augie August was a Department of Homeland Security fellow at Boston University. What on earth is a Department of Homeland Security fellow? What on earth is that? Did you know? I did not know that there were higher degrees in Department of Homeland Security. I knew there were jobs, but most of them involving truncheons, cattle prods. But I didn't know there was a degree. There's a fellowship at Boston University in or for or by or with Department of Homeland Security? What on earth? So Augie August is a spook. He's a government spook. You can't have a degree in Homeland Security. And a research fellow at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. Okay, but I don't care. I don't care about your academic credentials if you're a government spook. I want to know what that means. A Department of Homeland Security fellow. I want to know what that means and what you had to do to get that job. I'd be willing to bet a Boston cream pie that what you had to do to get that job totally invalidates any scientific research you've ever done or ever will do. That's so disturbing. What on earth does that mean? What on earth does that mean? Can you get a laureate in FBI at Johns Hopkins? Let's go on to Sai Gadam, see if that's any better. I shudder to think. A postdoctoral fellowship at the Center for Adaptive Systems at Boston University. Okay, so they probably know each other from Boston University. And they've both authored other books. Augie August co-authored a book called Dark Horse and Shrinks. Nothing about black sites and illegal renditions. And Sai Gadam co-authored A Billion Wicked Thoughts, also with Augie August. Okay, this is not even their first book together. Okay, that's good to know. He is the CEO of a software company that develops AI-powered education tools in Mumbai, otherwise known as Bombay. Okay. Well, we've been on a journey with this particular. This comes out in early March. I am going to resist the urge to read it right away. Here, let me put let me sure that the date is easy to get at here. Now that I've got newly rearranged bookshelves, much at the cost of life and limb. Even Frida was looking at me saying, should you really be doing that? All right, well, Journey of the Mind. It's a spiral, man. It's the dance of Shiva. Oh, whatever your chosen favorite goblin is. I will read this, and I will review it. But unless the pub sheet was way off the mark, and keep in mind, for abstruse books like this, the pub sheet is usually either written by the authors or corrected by them. I doubt there's anything in here that they don't agree with. And unless it's drastically different from the content of the book, then the final line of that pub sheet, that man is not the culmination of the universe, is flat out wrong. We shall see. We shall see. People are perfectly happy to say, that whales and echolocating bats and cheetahs all have developed drastically different means of hunting for their prey, and therefore drastically different ways of perceiving the world. Humans are perfectly willing to say that, but drastically different intelligences? No, we're intelligent. It's no wonder to me that humans eliminated all other humans, that Homo sapiens eliminated all other hominins. No wonder at all. Imagine the confusion. Imagine a book like this if you had, Homo heidelbergensis, just in the general population, with a completely different way of thinking. Anyway, so we have a lot of March books here. That's good, because I now have plenty of room for them. We have Journey of the Mind. We have Feeding Washington's Army, which no sooner did I recreate that bookshelf than this makes a problem, because it's much too big for the bookshelf. No sooner did I do that than I get a book that doesn't fit on there. Then we have After the Romanovs, a true bright spot. Those of you who have not read Helen Rappaport, you should fix that. She's fantastic. We have Refuse to be Done. Don't ever leave that novel. Stay as long as you can. Surely there must be something else that you can revise. Maybe some other seminar that you can go to. And Heart First Into This Ruin by Wanda Coleman, part of the Wanda Renaissance. So there you go. There you go. A nice rollicking mail haul to finish out the week. Unless I get mail tomorrow. I think more mail is coming today, and if this Saturday is like many other Saturdays, it'll arrive at 9 at night, long after I've stopped looking for mail. So we'll see. There could be mail tomorrow. I'm going to wrap this up anyway. This has gone way too long. I'm sorry about that. I will close for now, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.